Well, hello, I'm Joanna with Blissful Baby, and I'm here with Jessie, and we are doing a celebration because her daughter Mia just finished sleep coaching, and we're going to kind of do a travel down journey lane on what it was like before sleep coaching with me, and then what life looks like now. At the time that we sleep coached Mia, she was 15 months. So, Jessie, why don't you tell me what life looked like before you called me?
So I kind of felt like we were at the end of our rope when it came to Mia getting good sleep. I know now that we were using a lot of crutches to help her sleep, and we were kind of running out of options. So, we would come home every night. She was always very, very tired from daycare, but we would think, maybe if we kept her up a little later, she would sleep a little later. We would play for a while, have a bottle. She had to have a bottle to go to sleep, which would
Mhm.
be in my arms on the couch. And then she would have to remain in my arms on the couch or very close to me until it was time for me to go to bed, at which case I would take her and she would share my bed for the rest of the night. Obviously, not sleeping very soundly. So I was getting very little sleep. She needed literal hand holding at the time in order to even allow me to get some sleep. I was eating dinner over her, dropping food on her sometimes, unable to have a conversation with my husband in the same room at a normal level, unable to, watch a movie at a normal level. And really, one of the biggest things that we missed out on was we were unable to go outside and sit on our beautiful patio during the summer, which is now over. So we really kind of were backed into a corner where our entire lives outside of our stressful jobs revolved around doing whatever we could to get Mia to sleep. There were no evening activities, no exercise. We didn't have time for anything else. And it was just to the point where, we couldn't go on doing it like that anymore.
Yeah, and absolutely. And so visualize this, you guys. She's in her living room because this child will not let her go and take her into the bedroom. Like this child is like, no, 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 don't even get me near the nursery. Don't get me near the crib. I want to be in your arms. I want to be in the living room. I want to be on the couch. And so mom, Jessie basically was like, all right, if this is the only way it's going to work, I'll do it because I can't fight you after having a long day at the office. And so they just had to be in the living room on the couch with the bottle holding her, eating over the baby, not being able to have a conversation, not being able to watch a show because the baby was in the arms. And some nights mom couldn't do it, so then dad had to be that person.
Mhm.
And then, the co-sleeping, which is fine, except that Jesse, you weren't even sleeping well with the co-sleeping arrangement, right? I mean,
No.
it wasn't even like Mia slept well. Like all night long, she was needing things from you, correct?
Yes, she would wake up often. She was kicking me, not allowing me to get any sleep. And, at the beginning, we were still doing a nighttime feeding. So that would involve me getting up, going downstairs to where my husband was sleeping on the couch also, and waking him up and waking the dog up and having to get a bottle. And it was just very stressful and kind of one of those things where I knew I wanted to make an effort to change, but I was always so tired that it was like, well, I really need some sleep tonight. We're not going to do it tonight. And it just over time became worse and worse. And she became less and less forgiving about the distance that we could give her. And it just got to be very unreasonable.
Yeah. And so what made you decide to reach out for help? Like what was the breaking point and how did you find me and what was the thought behind like, wow, I need someone to help me with this?
I think at that point, I had reached out to friends and family and just gotten sort of a mixed bag of answers and nothing consistent and nothing that I was able to work with. I was too tired to read any more books or try to
Yep.
figure out what to do.
Yeah.
And I really just thought, I'm not getting help from any of these sources. Even my pediatrician couldn't help me. I reached out to her and she really told me, take away the bottle at night for the night feeding, but that was it. And I just felt very helpless. And I thought there has to be someone out there that is an expert at this and that can help me because I can't do this myself. And so I think I just did a simple Google search and found your website and really liked what you had to say and thought, I really want to look into this more. And, talked to my husband about it and he was like, I'm totally on board. Let's do it. And it
That's
was
awesome.
probably one of the best decisions I've ever made.
Yay. Yeah. So just want to point out something really important. Like Jessie is an incredibly resourceful mother. Okay. So she's like doing the research. She's like got the book. She's talking to people. She's reaching out to the right people, trying things, coming up empty, not because she didn't try, not
Mhm,
because she's not capable. Uh, it was like you said, you got so tired that and the information you were getting was so insufficient
mhm,
that you create the insufficient information with the I'm exhausted and I don't really have a plan, and then you just
mhm.
end up flatlined.
Right.
um yes, and I remember when you first reached out and it was like, oh my gosh, we need to get this baby girl sleeping.
Mhm,
Because it's true. I mean, you guys had, at the time it was 50, she was 15 months. I mean, you've been doing this for 15 months straight,
mhm.
and it was no longer sustainable at all.
Right.
So, what was it like going through the process? Like, how did you feel supported? How were your questions answered? Did you feel comfortable the whole time?
Mhm.
I mean, sleep training can be really intimidating for people, and so I just would love you to give some insight on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think sleep training can be intimidating, but you gave me a lot of confidence that I needed because at this point I had no confidence left, right? I felt like I was being a very ineffective mother and I saw other people with their children sleeping and they weren't having the same problems. And I thought I had tried everything and I was just so desperate. And I'll admit, I was so nervous the first time we met because I just thought, what is she going to think of me? What am I doing wrong? How is this going to be? And you really did give me a lot of confidence. And I was still, kind of nervous when it came to the first night of sleep training, just because it's a lot of pressure. It's a big change, and you know that it's not going to be 100% easy. But I really liked all of the pre discussion that we had. So, kind of the learning phase where it's explaining why she's behaving the way that she's behaving and knowing that we're speaking specifically about my child and it's customized to my child.
Yeah,
It's not a one size fits all approach.
yeah.
And I felt like you really got to know her and understood her behaviors and were able to explain a lot of that to us in a way where we had a few what I would call, light bulbs go off, where it was like, okay, we thought that she was shaking her head and, banging on things because she was trying to keep herself awake, not because she was trying to settle herself. And so having that information prior to starting any sort of sleep training with her physically was really helpful because it made the sleep training all so much easier because we knew what she was doing, and it's not the first time I've tried to leave her in her crib before. And yes, she cried at first, but having the confidence from you knowing that she's crying, but she's not hurt and what she's doing is completely normal and we're going to get through it.
Mhm.
That was the biggest part. It was after, I think the first night it took her 4 hours to lay down and go to sleep. And by the third night, it was 15 minutes. And now, you know, it's a matter of seconds. So I think the pre-planning and the information
Mhm.
and the customization to her and that all lined us up for a lot of success. And then once we started to have success, the tension came down and it got easier and easier and the confidence grew. And now I just feel like a completely different mom to her. And it's amazing.
That's so beautiful. Well, thank you for sharing about how you were so filled with doubt and lack of confidence that it kind of paralyzed you to not really, and I think that that happens to a lot of moms. Like if
Mhm,
all you're trying to do is be the best mom, and then the things that you're trying aren't working, of course it's going to affect your confidence.
mhm,
And then and I'm a mom too, so I understand all about feeling like confident about what am I doing? Am I making good decisions? Is this the right thing to do? Like all of that. And I feel like the conversations that we had with you and your husband, like we were able to answer all of those questions so that everyone feels really, really comfortable, and that you could see the science behind the recommendations. You could
mhm.
see the sleep science, you could see the behavioral science, you could see the attachment theory behind the recommendations. So then when you were in there doing the coaching, you're like, oh, she told me that that would happen. Oh, there it is. And then you're like, oh my God, that's not a mystery anymore. It's like, oh,
Right.
Oh, no more mystery. Like now I understand, right? So that is where like that confidence boost comes up because it now is not a mystery anymore. It's more tangible. So tell me what life looks like now. Like she's
Yeah,
been, yeah.
it's completely different. I used to take a look at the clock and realize what time it was and think, I have this deadline. She's coming home from school. I'm going to be pinned to the couch the rest of the night. And I would just get this, anxiety, this dread over what my life had kind of changed into. And all of that is completely different now. She goes to bed and we have all of the rest of the night together. She actually enjoys going to bed. I never thought I would say those words. And now she also enjoys taking a nap. I mean, towards the end, we were to the point where naps were non-existent, and she was screaming, crying. I mean, it felt horrible. And now, she loves her routine, which is great. We know exactly what to expect every night. She comes home from school. We have dinner. She brings me her bib and says, eat, it's time to eat. And if we don't do that right away, she'll let you know. She's all there for the routine. And then we eat, and then when it's time for bed, she gets gets in her room and puts her arms out for her sleep sack and hands me the book and tells me to sit down and read it with her. And then when she's done, she says, all done, and pushes the book away and then looks at me, and I put her in her crib and she goes right to sleep. And it's just such a beautiful feeling knowing that she's enjoying this as much as we are. It doesn't feel selfish at all. It's very much, she told us in her own way, even though that she can't talk, that she was really ready for this and that she needed this from us. So it just makes it all that much more rewarding.
I know. And I just love that image of her walking through her own routine in her room,
Hmm.
wanting to be in her crib, which she did not want a part of that. And she's ready and she gets into bed, and now she's sleeping 12 to 13 hours uninterrupted all night and taking good naps. Okay,
Yes.
you guys, this child was not sleeping. She wasn't taking naps. She wasn't falling asleep until later at night. She was
Mhm.
tossing and turning and awake all night long. And now she is happy in her crib, sleeping 11, 12, 13 hours and taking good naps too. And I remember one of the key things, and kind of going back to how it was before, is, when I always ask clients, like, what is your wish list? Like, what do you want it to look like? Right. Because I really do believe with anything that we have to do new, whether you're starting a diet, an exercise routine, learning how to cook something, or sleep training, you have to know where you're going, right? Like, what do you want it to look like? Because if you don't have the vision, like, how are you going to stay motivated? Right. And she said, I just want to be able to sit and have a dinner and talk to my husband and eat slowly.
Mhm.
And now you can, right?
We
Because
do it
she's
every
asleep.
night.
And
Yeah.
then you guys get to go and you can't be on the pretty patio, but you will be
Mhm.
soon enough,
Right.
and sit and have a nice dinner. And then also you told me that, you got to go to the wedding that you wanted to go to. You would have never felt comfortable going to the wedding and leaving her
Yeah.
with grandma.
Yeah, we had never left her in 15 months. And actually we did one time, and my father-in-law stayed up with her all night long. And I felt really bad about that, and we wanted to get to a place where, grandma could come over and watch her, or somebody could come over and watch her, and we could go out for a little bit, which we had the wedding, and then we went out and had a nice date night as well. So it's nice knowing that we can do those things and knowing that she's going to be just as happy, right? It's not torturing her when we leave. So that's really nice.
That's awesome. Okay, so for any parent, and mom specifically, who's really sleep deprived but scared to make a change, what do you want to tell her? Or what do you want to tell the parents?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that if you are thinking about something that could potentially change your life and help you meet your goals, definitely reach out. Like I mentioned earlier, it being sort of customized to your situation, actually completely customized to your situation and your child, really makes a difference. And also, the one thing that I've always liked about it, and this is what really, drew me to you, Joanna, is that it's completely what we'll call child led. So we're looking for her to give us signs to tell us what to do. you know, I actually had two friends of mine get in an argument about whether you should just put them down and let them cry it out. You know, you're the parent, you're the boss, and that's just not how I felt at all. And so no matter what your situation is, there's a solution for you. And, you know, my only regret is not reaching out sooner, because it really is life changing. And even though it's been a few weeks now, we're still getting used to it and still feeling kind of the ripple effect of being able to make different plans. And now we're going on a vacation where we know that those skills will transfer to somewhere new and different. And so it just really is worth it. If you're interested at all, definitely reach out, because, you know, it could completely change everything for
Yeah.
you for the better.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, I know this word is overused, but I call it a family sleep
Mhm.
transformation, because once we get the child learning their sleep skills and sleeping beautifully,
Mhm.
then the parents can start sleeping beautifully. And then when everybody is well rested, the world opens up and you can live your life in a completely different way.
Right.
um and so I like to say that I'm kind of on a, you know, I want to lead the well rested family revolution, because if we have well rested parents and we have well rested kids, like, anything's possible, right? Because we feel good, and when we feel good we can go about our lives in a much more robust way.
Yes.
So thank you so much, Jesse, for sharing your story, and it's been a pleasure working with you and your husband and darling Mia. And um, I want you to go have the best vacation ever. She leaves on Saturday, you
Thank
guys, and
you.
she's ready to
Yeah.
roll.
Yes.
She's
Thank you
going
for
on six
everything.
days to the Keys. Thank you.
Thank you.